Good afternoon. I'm Rabbi Sharon Stiefel, Sholom Hospice Rabbi, spiritual counselor, and chaplain. I'd like to welcome you to our 2020 Shalom Johnson Butterfly event. Our theme this year is resilience, and everyone who is here today is testimony to resilience. Instead of gathering at one of our campuses in St. Paul or St. Louis Park, as we have for the past 11 years, you are with us from wherever you happen to be because you have an electronic device with which to make a connection. The coronavirus pandemic has presented challenges to the normal ways we cope with grief, and it has disrupted how we grieve and heal. These disruptions cause discomfort. We have had to recalibrate and to say to ourselves, the world is not the way it was before, and I need to adapt. It has been important to find alternative, creative ways to grieve and acknowledge losses. Today, our Zoom Butterfly event is just one creative way we are recognizing loss for ourselves and others during the pandemic. It is important to name and speak about our grief. When we do this, it allows us to let grief do its work, and we integrate our losses into our lives. Grief shifts over time, and it's important to recognize that we are never done with it, just as we are not done with whomever or whatever we have lost. So much of the past several months have involved connecting with one another over electronic devices, be it through phone calls, email, FaceTime, and Zoom. But when I think about connecting with our loved ones who have passed away, I realize we can connect with them through a more intimate and vulnerable method. That is our heart. Because I know that while our loved ones who have passed away are no longer with us physically, they are with us spiritually and emotionally. I like to say we always hold them in our hearts. And we stay connected with them not only in our thoughts, but through our words and our deeds. Whenever we tell their stories, we bring them alive not only for ourselves, but with all those with whom we interact, that is, our listeners. When I tell you that my father of blessed memory would say when something inopportune happened, like a fender bender, he would say, "These things happen." I share a bit of his wisdom, and you, as well as I, am again blessed with his presence. Knowing my father, he might have reacted to this pandemic by telling me about all our relatives who lived, or sadly may have died from the 1918 pandemic. Now you know even more about my father's penchant for genealogy and family storytelling. I share with you about my father, but I could share with you as well the wisdom and perspective of the hundreds of hospice patients I have been blessed to have cared for through Sholom Hospice over the past 8+ years. The stories of their lives enrich me and our entire hospice team, and how much the more so you, with your deep personal connections. You are keepers of the stories. My point is that we come together today to remember, to honor, to share, and to be enriched by our loved ones. Our dear ones' lives continue in us as long as we are alive. In a time of pandemic, in a time of isolation, we call upon the strengths, the lessons, and struggles of those who came before us. The wisdom they shared helps us as we move forward. May their memories be a blessing and a source of inspiration for all of us.
Hello, I'm Barbara Click and I'm Sholom CEO. And I want to first thank everyone for joining us today. And I also want to have a special thank you to Rabbi Stiefel and Pat Scogan and our entire hospice team for sharing their gifts with many individuals and family members through celebration of lives and at a most intimate time at the end of life. So thank you to our team, they're wonderful. Resiliency is an excellent theme for today's butterfly event. We all experience grief through loss of our loved ones, loss of our old way of life because of the pandemic. We often cannot reduce our stress load, so we can build a resiliency to lift the load and adapt to the changes. We do not all start in this resiliency journey at the same place or at the same time. We start by accepting change and emerging from our cocoon just like our butterflies. This is why events like our butterfly release are so important. Connectiveness and belonging are important and so vital to the support systems that we all need in these times of grief. We all need to remember that we belong to each other. This belonging support will help us withstand adversity and hopefully grow despite our conditions. I leave you with 2 assignments. The first, be kind to each other. And the second, do one small thing for yourself every day to re-energize yourself. Please start today. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Nina Gerton, and I'm an end-of-life doula volunteer with Sholom. I'm going to lead you through a ceremony of remembrance, guiding you the whole way, just as if I were with you and your loved one. In front of me, I have a pitcher of water, and I have a bowl. And this bowl was my mother's, and every time I use it, I think of her. I also have a photo of my parents and a candle that reminds me of them both. I have some dried lavender, some dried rosemary, and also some dried rose buds. I also have a small hand towel. So if you've prepared a similar setting, please follow my lead. And if not, just trust that with everything that I do, I'll be doing it for all of us that are here today. So to begin, what I'd like is for us to take 3 harmonizing breaths together. These breaths will connect us. They'll blend our inhalations and exhalations. They will act as cushions for one another and weave together a container of respect, honor, kindness, and love. As we do this, you will inhale slowly, take a pause, and then exhale. You may sigh out loud on the exhale if you wish. So together, inhale and exhale. And inhale and exhale. And inhale and exhale. We blend and share our breath. We harmonize our energies together. And we're here today to remember and offer gratitude for our loved ones. Laughter and tears are both welcome as we remember them. First, please join me in lighting our candles. Bring to mind your loved one who's being remembered today. Maybe you did not have an opportunity for a final goodbye. If that was the case, please allow all of us that are here to hold space around that for you. Water is rejuvenating and cleansing. We're going to infuse this water with love and remembrance by associating it with bodies of water that had special meaning for our loved ones. Maybe it's a distant ocean, a city lake, or a favorite fishing hole. Maybe it's a river, a dam, a creek, or a pond. As I pour the water into the bowl, please say out loud the names of waters that you associate with your loved one. You'll be able to hear me say the waters that I associate, and I invite you to say it at the same time. Pacific Ocean, Lake Superior, Mississippi River, Prior Lake, Flower Lake, and the Mouse River. Now I invite you to take a pinch of lavender if you have it, or some lavender essential oil. Place it in your hand, in the palm of your hands, and pinch it, and then let it just fall into your palm. And smell the lavender. And as we take the lavender and take in the scent of the lavender, Think about the peace and relaxation that lavender brings. Think of an image of your loved one when they experienced peace and relaxation. And I'm inviting you now to share out loud those images as they come. I will share mine. I remember how peaceful you looked lying on the sun in the beach, how relaxed you were after a good golf game, and resting in a hammock in our shady yard. Place the lavender buds or the drop into the water. And now I invite you to take a pinch of rosemary. Rosemary brings remembrance. So take the rosemary and break it up into your palm. You can rub your palms together. And I invite you to think of a quality or a characteristic of your loved one and call it out as they come to mind. I will share mine. Love and protection, your sense of humor, your deep love. So now take the rosemary and place it into the water, or the drop of rosemary essential oil into the water. And our last element is roses. Roses represent love. Remember, though, that roses have their thorns. So I invite you to think about what you loved about your person and also what was hard. Take some of the rose petals, crush them in your palm, or place a drop of rose oil in your palm. Rub your palms together and drink in the beautiful scent of the roses. Speak out loud from your heart what needs to be spoken. If forgiveness needs to be offered or asked for, feel free to say that out loud. As you do so, place the rose petals or the rose essential oil into the water. I will share mine. Mama, you are so full of love, and yet sometimes you could withhold it. Dad, I'm sorry I misjudged you that day by the lake. That was hard. We have made this water sacred by naming our images and our associations. Water is used for both blessing and cleansing. If there are additional gratitudes you would like to remember out loud or wounds you would like to release, you can say them now and dip your hands into the water, both remembering and releasing. Thank you for honoring your loved ones with me, for remembering moments with them, and for remembering what you appreciated about them, also for remembering their humanity. And this concludes our ceremony of remembrance.
Shalom. My name is Cantor Joshua Feinblom of Temple of Aaron in St. Paul. Thank you for including me here today with all of you. This event is a way to remember those who've lost their lives now as well as in the past. One poem about remembering that always meant so much to me comes from Rabbi Sylvan Kamens and Rabbi Jack Reamer. At the rising sun and in its going down, we remember them. At the blowing of the wind and in the chill of winter, we remember them. At the opening of the buds and in the rebirth of spring, we remember them. At the blueness of the skies and the warmth of summer, we remember them. At the rustling of the leaves and in the beauty of autumn, we remember them. At the beginning of the year and when it ends, we remember them. As long as we live, they too will live, for they are now part of us as we remember them. These words were put into song not so long ago, and I would like to share that with all of you at this time. The rising of the sun, we remember. In the blowing of the wind, we remember. In the opening of buds, we remember. We remember. the blueness of the sky, we remember. In the rustling of the leaves, we remember. As the year starts and it ends, we remember. We remember. When we're weary and need strength, we remember. When we're lost and sick at heart, we remember. When we've joys we've yearned to share, we remember. We remember. So long as we live, they too shall live. They are now a part of us. They are now a part of us. They are now a part of us. As we remember, we remember. We remember. May we always remember them. Thank you.
Hello. My name is Pat Scogan, and I'm the Director of Home Care and Hospice for Sholom. I'd like to welcome you to this first Zoom event. It has been, as Rabbi Sharon explained, quite a challenge for us as a program to move from a very high-touch environment with our hospice care to more of a high-tech environment to stay in touch with all our wonderful family members and friends and keep our patients in touch with them the best we can in these unprecedented conditions with the pandemic. I also would like to thank the committee members for making this day happen so that we could continue with our annual memorial service, regardless of being able to get together in person at one of our facilities. They've worked very hard to put this together and make it the most optimal experience for you as we possibly could. I also want to share with all of you in attendance today that I too am a participant with all family members and friends at this memorial service. I am memorializing my mother today, who died just a few short weeks ago on June 26th. Clea Dalton is my mother, my beautiful mother that I remember today so acutely. I am here at my sister's home doing this event, and I have memories of her all around me as she lived here with my sister, my father, and her for the last 3 years. We were not able to have Sholom Hospice service my mother due to the fact that she lives in Wisconsin. And so we are not licensed as a program here in Wisconsin, but we did have a wonderful hospice program support us and help us through her passing days. She had a beautiful end-of-life experience with hospice in attendance, meeting her needs with family all around her here. Hospice does that for people at the end of life. I am very honored and committed to managing this hospice team. I thank them for their emotional support as I lost my mother, and I thank them for their resiliency these past months in these very unusual times, and also their willingness to be creative in bringing hospice services and end-of-life services to as many patients and families as we possibly can. It is a wonderful service, and I can't say how much I've benefited personally as well as professionally in hospice and in home health care. Again, I'm honored to serve patients and family members at Sholom and in the community. I wish you all well in these times and in your grieving process, and know that we are there for you in our bereavement program for as long as you need us. Thank you very much.
Good afternoon. I'm Barry Baines, and I'm the medical director for Sholom Johnson Hospice, and have been since the very first day that we started. I was honored when I was asked to present a few brief remarks today at our first Zoom Butterfly Memorial event, as I've attended every event that we've had over the years. Who knew that butterflies would be part of social distancing? I know I am not alone when I say that the last 5 months have been unlike anything in my life experience so far. And as you could see, I'm not exactly a spring chicken. From now on, for all of us, life will be divided between pre-COVID and post-COVID. The impact of this on hospice work was quite significant. As you may know, the core of hospice is patient and family-centered care at the end of life. And what happened to us? Well, the places where our patients lived, where we took care of most of our patients and families, were effectively locked down. Our wide array of supportive services were severely curtailed, and even worse, initially, families were not even allowed to visit their loved ones. This was quite an obstacle put directly in the path of compassionate end-of-life care. And yet, our team worked tirelessly to allow for, at the very least, compassionate care visits for family members of hospice patients. Over the past 5 months, many of us have probably listened to stories and seen the videos on TV of frontline workers in ICUs and COVID-19 units, of care providers serving as that last link between the dying and their loved ones. The situation of anticipating death, while certainly more acute and unexpected for COVID patients than in hospice, it still shares that same fear that patients have of dying alone. And in the midst of what seemed like total isolation of our patients in their last hours, our nurses were able to provide that bridge and connection to family members. Many times, our staff became that surrogate family member to accompany our patients during the last hours of their life's journey. In that moment, they became family, providing something of immeasurable value to those who passed: comfort, presence, and compassion. Thank you, team. It's an honor to be part of all you do. And for those of you here today, thank you for attending. And I sincerely hope that you were provided with a measure of comfort by the actions of our staff. May the memories of those we have lost be for an everlasting blessing. Thank you.
Hello and good afternoon. I was asked to speak today at the Butterfly Memorial event on behalf of my family's experience receiving spiritual and comfort care services from Sholom Hospice when our mother Pearl, of blessed memory, was in her final stage of Alzheimer's disease. As a note, my mother died a year ago June during life as we knew it pre-COVID-19. We were able to sit at Mom's bedside during her last hours and grieve her loss by family and community. It is not lost on us how fortunate we were just 1 year ago. Those who knew my mother Pearl, our mother Pearl, back in the day, and even into her early 80s, know that although she was a woman of small stature, there was nothing demure about her. She was a resilient and energetic woman and a real spitfire, the very essence of the Yiddish word balabusta, both at home and in her 30-plus year career as a residential realtor. Mom lived in her home in St. Paul, by the river, as she would say, until age 86, when we kids thought that she would be a perfect candidate for Knollwood Place independent living. Unfortunately, right after we moved her in, it was both obvious and heartbreaking that Mom was experiencing cognitive changes that would prevent her from living independently much longer. 10 months later, we moved Mom again, this time to Jones Harrison Memory Care, where she received excellent care for 6.5 years until her death last June. When it came time to select a hospice service, we knew that Sholom Hospice would be the best fit for her and our family. We appreciated how Sholom Hospice created a Jewish presence for Mom at Jones Harrison, and how Sholom worked seamlessly with the nursing home to support Mom as she began her final decline. A short while after Sholom began, Mom's condition leveled and she became more responsive from all the special attention. I was told this was not uncommon, and we were thrilled that Mom was being nurtured so tenderly. Each member of the team engaged with her in different ways, and we are so grateful to each and every one of you. Rabbi Sharon Stiefel would schmooze and sing with Mom and could almost always coax her into saying a Yiddish word, even long after she stopped speaking. I know they developed a special bond and that Pearl appreciated the sweet time they spent together on the second floor breezeway. One day, when Rabbi Stiefel was visiting, Mom called her Debbie by my name. That was the ultimate compliment she could pay Rabbi Stiefel, feeling so comfortable as if she were her own daughter. We are very appreciative to Dr. Baines and to Karen RN for being vocal medical advocates on behalf of Mom. Karen numerous times spent time on the phone with me, explaining the changes occurring while always supporting me emotionally and simply listening. To Tom, the Friday afternoon volunteer, thank you so much for your kindness and visits with Mom each week. We loved your weekly notes, and we know that Pearl enjoyed her special one-on-ones with you. Thank you to all the nursing aides that would bathe and dress Mom and put on lipstick and a scarf so she could go to breakfast in style. Pearl loved your attention to detail. And much appreciation to Mom's massage therapist and music therapist who made her final hours more peaceful. You are all angels, and we are quite certain that our mother Pearl, felt very comfortable by your presence and compassion. You are the essence of your name, Sholom. You brightened Mom's days, giving her the precious gift of peace, of shalom, at the end of her 92 years of life. On behalf of my mother, our family, and all families in our community who have experienced the incredible work of Sholom Hospice, We thank you from the bottom of our hearts. May you all go from strength to strength in your sacred job, caring for others at such a critical time.
Hello, I'm Teresa Schneider. I'm the massage therapist with Sholom Hospice. Life is unpredictable. It is a constant flow of good and bad. While we cannot attach ourselves to an outcome, we can commit ourselves to being adaptable. Often, the greater the challenge, the greater the invitation to consider our situation and options. Still, some challenges can shake us to our core. When the pandemic hit, I was scared and felt fear because of all the unknowns. Yet I knew that in order to calm others and to be effective, I had to center myself. In order to nurture, I cannot overlook the need to be nurtured as well, either by myself or by others. I chose to move forward using all best practices and safety protocols as suggested by the CDC and the leadership staff in our own facility. I also reminded myself that I am part of a team. I am not alone. We are in this together. I put on a mask, shield, and gloves, and exercise proper hand hygiene before and after a session. In spite of all of these necessary practices, I still needed to discover and maintain effective ways of genuinely being with our patients, connecting mind and heart, and finding comfort together. I sincerely focused on making them the object of my intention and service, that they are seen and heard. Practicing this lessens their feelings of fear, helplessness, and isolation, as well as my own. Choices and actions overcome the fear of challenge. While we all have pain, fear, and discomfort, choosing empathy becomes a bridge. Knowing my pain allows me to understand theirs. Empathy creates a sense of safety. It becomes the means to respect them for who they are at this moment and can become a source of assurance and calm. At times, I simply hold their feet and gently massage. Simple interactions like these often create a certain acceptance to one's situation and difficulty. Musculature relaxed, the tissue becomes warm and soft. By bringing attention to the need and pain, there is a mitigation. Proper care can often decrease fear and worry. As stress lessens, the pain can become more tolerable, at least for the moment. In the end, the often resulting calm is not only beautiful, but truly therapeutic and effective for achieving a better sense of wellness. As a massage therapist, my normal routine is to wake and prepare for the day ahead by practicing a meditation to center my mind and a series of stretches to center my body. I ground myself mentally, physically, and emotionally so that I can better serve. Arriving at work, I feel all is right when I see my people. I often am aware of my privilege in simply being with another human being, looking them in the eyes and holding their hands with affection and respect. We can be together, creating a space with permission to just be, listening carefully with heart and hands. We can move into that space together, that safe space together. I hope to say through words, touch, and presence that I am here. Let me know how I can help. Massage therapy can be relaxing and comforting for all ages. The power of touch affects the ongoing relationship of mind and body. It enhances the connection from mind to body and back again from body to mind. By attentive engagement, touch can be thought of as a universal language of the heart, the place where psychosoma intersect. People in hospice are often in a very fragile, vulnerable state, and there is a need for specialized and adaptable massage approach. This informed attention often brings comfort and adds to the quality of their current condition. A massage can be calming, connective, and effectively compassionate. It sends a message of reassurance that one is not alone, as it also acknowledges the individual. Holding a person can foster a sense of wholeness, belonging, and wellness. Through gentle massage and working with the person's energy level, I often introduce soft strokes, gentle compression, and gentle kneading. This promotes relaxation, allows breathing to slow and deepen, and can lessen both pain and anxiety. On a day-to-day basis, what reinforces my resolve and commitment are often the simplest of things. Seeing a fearful face soften, lighting up into a smile, receiving a heartfelt thank you, experiencing someone shift from agitation or restlessness into a state of calm. It is an honor to bring comfort and to add to another's quality of life by supporting and serving their needs. In times of COVID, what keeps me going? It is the lovely and authentic connections capable of being made throughout the day. A smile, a nod of the head, hands held together, or a simple bow. So I clean my shield, store my mask, and wash my hands for the umpteenth time of the day. Sit and breathe, noticing that my heart is more expanded than the day before. In closing, there are many experiences that encourage me and keep me going. Sometimes at the end of the day, I sit quietly and reflect on that day's events and interactions. These reflections renew me and sustain my path of choice. Here are just a couple of those memories. A patient expecting my visit, sitting in her wheelchair, shared about her health and told me her many life stories as I worked with her. Afterwards, she expressed how good she was feeling and stated, "This is just what I needed." I met another patient who would not speak and was resolutely rigid in her wheelchair. I gently introduced myself and began to provide gentle massage. At the end of the massage, she slowly lifted her head and said, "Thank you for humanizing me." And finally, just recently during another session, a patient commented, "Your hands are magic and I feel connected to my body in ways that I haven't felt in a very long time." Her words to me were a true gift. Her words and all the feedback are an affirmation of why I value and so enjoy the work I do. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Amanda Rolcooney and I am a hospice volunteer. Several years ago, I received a phone call from my aunt to say that she was being admitted into a hospice facility in North London. She was 92 years old and suffering from the final stages of esophageal cancer. It was time. I booked a ticket, packed a bag, and arrived in the UK 3 days before she died. The nurses who tended to her were wonderful, caring not only for my aunt by controlling her pain and ensuring she was physically comfortable, but they also took care of my family. They helped us understand some of the features of the stages of dying, assured us she was in no pain, and encouraged us to talk with her and sing to her. They were not afraid. And so they helped us sit with someone we loved without fear and without anxiety. My aunt died while I was singing the Shema to her, something that has comforted me in the time since her passing. The main nurse assigned to my aunt was named Angel, and never had a name seemed more fitting. Her presence was a gift for which I will always be profoundly grateful. My path then to becoming a hospice volunteer was very personal and rooted in gratitude. In my daily life, I don't have a lot of contact with people of an older generation who are not family. This work has given me a rich variety of connections with older people that I treasure. Working with people in the memory care unit has given me an insight into how the simple fact of human presence can be important, perhaps more important than the necessarily coherent conversation or expounding on a particular topic. Sometimes those conversations felt like a series of not always connected flashbacks, A conversation that begins with reminiscing about card games with friends can switch in an instant to the particulars of running a business, interspersed with non sequiturs. Where's my handbag? Are you a citizen? Will we have enough chairs? It's a challenge to stay nimble and adjust with these changes, but also surprisingly exhilarating. I've learned that the end of people's lives is often as varied as the rest of lives lived, some with joy, some with anxiety and confusion, some with grace and love, some with withdrawal and anger. All count, all are valid. My job is to adjust for each, provide what they want: comfort, company, conversation, debate, a listening ear, or even just a diversion. Spending time with people toward the end of their lives is enriching and humbling. Sharing a piece of their journey gives me a window that is different from family. When I spend time with someone who fails to recognize me from one week to the next, it doesn't cut deeply the way it would, for example, if my own mother failed to recognize me. As a hospice volunteer, I can restart a relationship every week with someone with an open heart and mind. Being a hospice volunteer means that I have more connection to death and the journey toward death than I might not otherwise have. It keeps me aware that we all die. Death happens to us all. My honor is to spend some time with people who are almost there and to open up a space where I can respond to their emotional needs. The death of each person with whom I work saddens me. Some losses linger longer than others, but my relationship is short-term. The loss of a parent or spouse or sibling is not something most people can recover from quickly. In my role, I do not experience that long-term grieving. My longest-term relationship came fairly early on in my volunteering, where I worked with a gentleman for over a year. We spent enough time together that we developed a real relationship. He would ask me each week about my family, my children, and how they were doing. And he would tell me about his experiences as a translator during World War II, proudly show me pictures of his own family and his personal story recorded in a book chronicling experiences of Holocaust survivors. The last time I saw him, he turned to me and said, "You don't need to come back and see me next Tuesday." His final gift to me then was the chance to say goodbye. I still think of him and miss his engaging energy and his interest in all the goings on outside his Sholom homeroom. I began by telling you why I initially wanted to be a hospice volunteer, and I'll close with telling you why I continue with this work. My mother is 89 years old and happily in excellent health. She also lives thousands of miles and 6 time zones away. I hope and I pray that I will be able to be with her as she reaches the end of her life, but I know there are no guarantees. In the Jewish tradition, we talk about how tikkun olam, repair or healing of the world, also creates and enables tikkun halev, repair or healing of the heart. After reflecting on the many ways I think my hospice volunteering can help heal a small corner of the world, I know that this work also helps heal my heart. Thank you.
As we move towards the butterfly release, I'm going to read a poem by Maya Angelou. And when great souls die, after a period peace blooms, slowly and always irregularly. Our senses, restored, never to be the same, whisper to us, they existed. They existed. We can be and be better, for they existed, and we remember them. And now I'd like if you would either hold up your loved one's photo, if you have it, and then to say with me their name. And I'm going to ring a singing bowl. And now the butterfly release.
Thank you for joining us. This concludes our program.